All right. One more topic. We got a Patreon poll topic. Ian's on here to give his expert description of the Patreon, but it's patreon.com/CU podcast. There's a weekly writing. I just put up a writing about pizza. I put up a writing about the difference between pizza, New York, New Jersey pizza, and everywhere else, and the differences and why they exist there. And then Ian does his monthly hangout and other stuff there. But you also have a Patreon poll. You have a Patreon poll topic that you vote on every week. So number 3, would Pat ever grade any of his video games at 23%? Okay. At the second place, I switched out the traded one because he wasn't here. What would your ideal game collection consist of if price was no object? And number 1, why are creators getting burned out on YouTube? Why? As I sip my water. This is a general conversation, just because not every content creator is getting burnt out on YouTube, but a lot are. And this isn't just me saying that. In my opinion, it's people I know. I won't say their names, but in my circle, I'll just say of acquaintances and colleagues, there's probably 4 to 5 that are burnt out on YouTube. I am semi-burnt out on YouTube. Semi. Not entirely. It's still enjoyable. It's still fun, obviously. And there are others that I talk to through friends that are like, yeah, I know people that are done with this, and they're just going through the motions at this point, creating content and doing it. But why are creators getting burnt out on YouTube? Well, with any entertainment medium or job/entertainment medium, when you do something for a long time, you get complacent, first of all. And it doesn't mean that you don't appreciate what you have, but it's hard to do the same job for, at this point, a lot of these YouTubers. I've been on YouTube for 11 years. A lot of YouTubers have been on YouTube for like at least 8 years, 6, 7 years, 8, 9 years, 10 years, 11 years. Going back to, YouTube started blowing up, you want to say 2005, it started blowing up 2006, 2007, around there. So a lot of YouTubers have been on for over a decade. And with any job, whether it's a job I had in the office, I guess I started getting sick of my jobs after 2 or 3 years. When I was working in a cubicle. Again, not to say it's the same roughness or same thing, but that's just the way humans are. But with entertainment, I think a lot of times people want to get locked in. It's the same reason why, like, for example, Seinfeld ended its 9th season, and they were all making tens of millions of dollars a year for Seinfeld. People still love Seinfeld. It was one of the most popular shows still. But after 9 years, Seinfeld's like, this is enough. I'm done. That's enough. I'm done. I'm just going to go. Glad you guys liked it. I want to do other things. Doing the same thing for year after year. Again, these are people, the most popular people, celebrities, people that do a movie series, people that play James Bond. I'm done. Like Sean Connery was done in the 60s. They had to spend a ton of money to get him back for Diamonds Are Forever. He was freaking done. Yeah, he wasn't getting paid enough. Things like that happen, sure. But sometimes people are just done. They're done acting in roles. They're done with radio shows or podcasts. They're done playing sports on a particular team, or just done with sports in general. The human mind is kind of fragile when it comes to this. And there's boredom sets in. But this isn't. YouTube, though, is not necessarily a radio show where you have a salary, or a movie series where you're getting paid a lot of money and you're doing a movie every 2 or 3 years. YouTube is very fragile. It's very fragile with what the audience wants, but it's also fragile behind the scenes with the algorithm changes. What was it? About April, May of last year, all of a sudden, the views by default started going down on YouTube for my stuff. Not just my stuff, though. But it went down on older popular podcast segments, like the State of Retro Game Collecting would always make money no matter what, just because it was a cool thing. It got in the algorithm. People saw it when they probably searched for video game collecting. But for Pat the NES Punk videos, so that the last few newer Pat the NES Punk videos have not done nearly as well as the ones in the past did. And it's not because I've done doing them less. No, it's because of the algorithm. People are finding them less. And not just me with stuff like that. A couple other people, I won't say who they are, they did videos of long-standing series or just doing videos that they usually do, and all of a sudden they were doing just lower numbers. And that's very discouraging when you're a content creator. When something for years has been happening, let's say I do a video, Pat the Instant video, Flea Market Madness, whatever. Say it gets 150,000 views over like 6 months, 7 months, 200,000 views. Now it does 50,000 views. It's the same content, same quality, something I think people want, and there's always that core audience, but everyone else doesn't find it and discover it. It's very challenging in entertainment when that happens, because we don't get paid up front, for YouTube. We don't. So it's really what's the time served versus how do I make a living? Because content creators are making a living. Either they quit their job or they're doing it on the side, but either way, it's a living at this point. This is a living. Me doing the podcast, me doing YouTube videos. It's a living that we're making. So this is something we have to deal with. But it's also the pressure to making sure your content is what the audience wants as well. So there's YouTubers that 10 years ago, the best example is I can give Mark Bussler, Classic Game Room. He was a big YouTuber like 10 years ago, even probably 6 years ago. He's not doing those YouTube videos anymore. He moved on. The audience changes. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with content that the audience wants. The audiences get older, they move on, they go to different platforms. There's a lot more competition with streaming, with Amazon Prime and Hulu, what have you, soon to be Disney Plus, different audiences. And with that, sometimes it's tougher. And some content creators have no problem doing it and want to do it and change with what the audience is happening. And it's a much younger audience on YouTube now, probably on average what it was 10 years ago. Like I said, probably for a fact. It's a teenager, probably early 20s audience versus what it was 10 years ago, which is probably a more well-rounded audience there. Some people either don't want to do it or don't have the means to do it. Someone like me, I know what a younger audience wants. I don't want to do that. I don't want to provide that. That's just not what I have interest in. That's the one thing. But also, some people can get depressed by that. And there are content creators doing content they absolutely despise just because they know that's what an audience wants on YouTube. But they can still be doing it, but they're still burnt out behind the scenes. You just don't know about it. You think they're mentally fine. You don't know that they are mentally depressed by, oh my God, this is now to me a 9 to 5. I am working in a cubicle. This is what they might be thinking. This to me is a cubicle job, churning out the same exact content for year after year after year, where to me it's just any other job. I could be making sandwiches somewhere instead. They're probably thinking that. You might not agree with that, but that's what the human mind is like. After they've been doing the same thing that they're not enjoying anymore. So that's why I think they're getting burnt out. I think you have to be, I'm not saying you guys have to be like, oh, woe is you guys are making money from doing content on YouTube. But if you're in that situation, think about how you would respond. Where you're doing the same content. Maybe you like to do this content for year after year, but then either, you want to try something else, but your audience wouldn't like it. I know a guy that's in that situation where he's afraid to try to do new content because he thinks his audience will just shit all over it. And he's probably right to some aspect, because that's how the algorithms work on YouTube, where they know what the audience wants to go after that. Plus the algorithms change where YouTube in general is no longer as personality built as it used to be. I mean, there's a whole article about, the rise of the angry gamer people, a few who attacked me over the past year. And those channels are not personality driven. They're driven on the type of content in that moment in time. Because when you click on the videos like that, you'll get the same topic said by the same person. Or excuse me, the same topic by other people, the same topic by 5 different people. And people are just clicking on the same topic to be in their little echo chamber. I want people to agree with me. I'm just going to click on person A talking about why Last Jedi is bad. Person B is also why Last Jedi is horrible. Person C, why Last Jedi is an abomination and it's worse than massacres. Person E or F. Oh, the Last Jedi killed my kitten, and that's how YouTube is nowadays. I remember a time where it was more geared towards your generic interests, and so if you like retro gaming. If you clicked on a retro gaming topic, it would recommend, here's some other people doing retro gaming stuff. And I think that's gone down. I think it doesn't happen anymore. Again, it's not as personality and brand and channel based as it is as topic based. And the hierarchies up at the Alphabet company, Google, YouTube, same thing. That's what they deem necessary to keep engagement going. Plus, it is geared towards now it's more corporate. We know that with what's the clip from Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert from last night? What's the Ellen clip of the day? I know that's part of it as well. I see the reason for that, but I wish it was more personality driven, the algorithm, because it's definitely not at this point. It's definitely not. It's more about, well, I don't care who's talking about the topic I want to hear about. I just want as many people as possible to talk about that topic, and I want to ingest and consume all that same topic for this day or two, and then I'll move on to the next topic that's hot. And I never go back to those videos ever again. That's the way more and more YouTube has been geared towards, I think, at least in the last year and a half, 2 years, if not longer, but definitely at least a year, last year and a half there. So that's why creators are getting burned out, is putting up with the system, putting up with an audience that may be fickle or only know or like them for specific content, and they're afraid of branching out. Happened with this podcast. Originally, we started doing the podcast, there was like, why are you doing this content? And it's like, well, if not, I couldn't survive on Pat the NES Punk and just Flea Market Madness. Maybe just Flea Market Madness. That would have been good. If this was a weekly Flea Market Madness channel, I think that would have went somewhere. I do think that, because it would have been easy content to do every week. But I would have got sick of that. And it would have dried up anyway because of the flea markets. But you see my point. A lot of content creators are getting off of YouTube or finding alternative means of creating and making money. It's happening with doing merch and certain NES guidebook stuff, and doing movies and doing stuff on Patreon, doing podcasts, what have you. And that's the way we are not burning out entirely, and the way we're surviving as basically doing what we now do as a job. It's a job.